Okay, so we were shipped a 15-inch MacBook board here. This is an i5 or i7. But what we notice here is the main issue is this burned out pin. We can see there's an actual hole in this QFP, and that relates to this charging circuit that charges the battery and works with it. So what we're going to do is pull that off and put a new one on and see if we can't restore power to it. So as a quick test, we're going to plug our adapter in, and we see that there is no green light on there, but we can take our probe here and check and see that we have power going in to the system. So we're checking our fuse here and we see there's power going in, but there's no green light on the adapter. So that may directly link to that. Fans not turning or turning on. And most i-series boards will turn on their own. So what we're going to do is check this and still change that chip out and go from there and see what we find. Alright, so here's a closer up look at what we're talking about when we're talking about this chip. What we notice here is the system is burned out here. This trace and the corresponding pin that goes there, so that's going to be pin 1. So it'll be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. Have we counted right? It's going to be number 6 on this corner here. Corresponds to this capacitor, which most likely the trace goes through here and it goes into this capacitor here that goes into the charging circuit for the battery. So that's what we're looking at right now. There was a short, caused that chip to burn out, and it's caused issues, and what we're going to do is change that chip out. So we'll have to move everything out of the way and get to that here in a second, but that's what we plan on doing. Okay, so as we can tell, we noticed that the exactly where that trace was that we pointed out, it is missing from the board. It's been burned out, so we're going to have to rebuild that trace, and it's actually rebuilding the pad for the trace, and everything else looks perfectly fine. It's just that one section right there that we're going to have to rebuild and cut it out and make sure everything's good. So we're going to start ahead with that and then go from there. Okay, so now we have our chip changed out. Got a little hot there on the battery connector, but that happens sometimes. Must have got underneath our shielding, but we have the chip on there. All the traces look good. Everything's rebuilt. Clean that up with some rubbing alcohol as far as the flux, but we're going to call this one complete and say that it's done. If we had a battery or a case that the user sent, we would test it out, but instead we'll just do testing by way of multimeter, and that should do it for us and say that, you know, we've done our job right and everything's done. So we'll call this one complete and go from there.